The Snowy Mountains is one of Australia's great treasures. It is a long way away from big population centres. I've always been worried about pandemic. I think the experience of going through SARS, H5N1, H1N1, it makes it very real. Those things really do keep me up at night.
At the end of a winding road in her isolated alpine location, Jane Holton is making high-level calls to governments and laboratories day and night.
Today I have a call with Manila at 11. I have a call with London tonight. We're talking with colleagues and collaborators around the world.
The former head of the Department of Health now chairs a multi-million-dollar global alliance called CEPI, and right now it has a single goal: to accelerate a vaccine for the coronavirus.
Everybody will want this vaccine. Everybody will want to be vaccinated to reduce their risk, and so we have to negotiate this.
CEPI has funded 10 potential vaccines, particularly important research, which the big drug companies have traditionally seen as unprofitable.
A number of people were very worried that we weren't investing money in some pathogens, some potential disease-causing pathogens that no one was going to spend money on because there wasn't a commercial return.
According to CEPI, right now there are 7 vaccines in clinical development, 2 in the USA and 4 in China. One human trial in the UK is expected to begin today. Yet more vaccines should enter human trials before the end of the year, including one in Melbourne and one in development at the University of Queensland. But they're not the only Australian labs working on a vaccine. One lab soon to begin animal trials is here in Werribee, west of Melbourne.
We are a very small lab at Victoria University working on vaccines. Here's a lab where we do our experiments and we do a lot of our culture work. We're looking at 2 different aspects of generating vaccines. One is purely synthetic, so it just uses a peptide together with a carrier which is also synthetic, and that will be adequate to make an immune response in humans. We're making the carrier and we're collecting it, and then we're going to mix that with our peptide or protein and then do all the preclinical testing.
It's a case of adapting available technologies to fight the virus.
This platform technology that we're using is new for the purpose of coronavirus. It's a patented technology, so we are applying it to coronavirus. If that's all confirmed that it's very immunogenic, then we're one step before human clinical trials. We need a lot of people around the world to be working on vaccines, different methods, different ways of delivering the vaccine, and in the hope that 1 or 2 of them would be successful.
Just around the corner from the lab, also in Western Melbourne, waits a man most urgently in need of a vaccine.
I have cystic fibrosis. I was diagnosed with that at birth. It's a genetic disease. Because it's a lung disease primarily, it means I'm more susceptible to viruses and infections. A vaccine for COVID-19, it's going to be important for me and people like me. We take the flu shot every year, and it's really important because it can be the difference between going into hospital and going downhill, so it can be the difference between life and death.
Simon Green knows his life will never be the same again unless scientists strike gold.
My wife, we've talked about her maybe going out and enjoying the world with everyone else. She'll take care of all the different bits and pieces that need to be protected and washed away from all potential risk, and then come back into the house.
It is safe even for tiny babies.
Vaccines have been called the greatest achievement of mankind. But recent experience with a SARS vaccine trial in animals proved to be harmful, a lesson in the importance of rigorous testing.
We tried to develop vaccines for SARS, and in one particular case there was a vaccine that looked very promising. Now, sadly, it turned out not to be safe. We were lucky with SARS, we dodged a bullet.
For the big companies attempting this feat, it's a formidable task.
We're accustomed to developing vaccines over a period of 5, 7, or even more years. And so doing this in 12 to 18 months is an extremely compressed time frame.
The world's largest pharmaceutical company, Johnson & Johnson, announced clinical trials starting in September and anticipates emergency use authorization by early next year.
The vaccine is an adenovirus vector, so it's basically an inactivated virus that allows it to deliver antibodies or create the presence of antibodies which will fight the virus in patients.
But the process is long and extremely expensive, and big drug companies will be looking to recoup their costs.
That is the nature of drug development. It's a risky business. The idea being that we can't wait to finish the clinical trials and then start developing and manufacturing and distributing the vaccine. What we need to do is both of those activities in parallel.
The World Health Organization has declared a swine flu pandemic.
There's determination to avoid what happened in 2009, when wealthy countries, including Australia, entered into contracts with drug multinationals, effectively monopolising the H1N1 swine flu vaccine at the expense of poorer nations.
We now have to think about issues around vaccine sovereignty. How do we ensure that the vulnerable populations around the world will get access to a vaccine?
As case numbers continue to drop and life begins to return to normal, people like Simon will still be isolated and waiting for a vaccine.
I think I'm going to sit inside feeling a little bit depressed because I'm going to watch everyone go back to their lives, but I know I can't just start living my life normally yet because COVID's still out there.
Hi, I'm Lee Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.